Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. And now the Friday Crime Report. Bellingham, Washington, Wednesday, June 12, 2024. Students from Whatcom Middle School were walking to the Pickford Film Center on a field trip. One of them was an 11-year-old black 6th grader. Neither this child nor his classmates had any idea that white supremacy was about to attack.
Surveillance video from Bellingham police capturing the end of a school field trip. 6th graders walking on the sidewalk when a man is seen crossing the street to confront a black student.
And then he crossed the street and got in front of me and my friend, and I was talking to my friend, and then that's when he punched me in my face.
The attack difficult to see, but doesn't end there.
After he punched me, he pushed me, and then he said, "You're going to talk to a white man like that or what?"
A total stranger believed to have targeted the boy because of his race.
A white man saw the black 11-year-old and crossed the street, approached the child, and without warning punched the 11-year-old black child in the face, breaking one of the child's teeth. The white man then said, "Are you going to talk to a white man like that?" The incident happened just down the street from the Bellingham Police Department, but predictably, like all cops, it wasn't the police who had to catch this hate criminal, it was a teacher who chased after this creep. When the police finally did show up, keep in mind they're just up the street, but apparently doing their jobs too much work for them, they finally put the guy in handcuffs. But keep in mind, this is why people say defund the police. When people get government money for not working, they're supposed to be cut off. The white right has no problem with saying teachers and schools need to be defunded for not meeting standards. But how about the police for not doing their job? Oh, no standards allowed suddenly. Now, when the cops finally decided to mosey down the street to arrest this criminal, he was still hurling racial slurs and made a statement indicating that the public should assault black people. The assailant has since been identified as 42-year-old Paul Jonathan Bittner. The mayor and police chief, both white women, gave the expected tepid, unconcerned response, basically a non-reply reply. About the only halfway stern response to this outrage came from the school superintendent, who called this anti-black racism. I also noticed that he put the phrase diversity, equity, and inclusion in his statement. So that's him basically giving the middle finger to the Christopher Rufos and the Ed Blums, the trash who encourage and promote precisely this kind of violence. But I saw no mention of increased security at the schools, or of the police making it a point to do more or do anything to protect black students. Of course, the Attorney General of Washington State isn't setting up any sort of task force to stop anti-black hate, no hotlines, no anything. In fact, the statements from the politicians and bureaucrats has been mealy-mouthed, to put it politely. The police chief herself referred to this violent anti-black racist who attacked a child as a gentleman. That's the word she chose to use to describe him. A gentleman. Now, have you ever heard of any police chief or any public official anywhere refer to someone who attacked a child as a gentleman? You've never heard of that. Well, I guess we can all guess what kind of investigation we're going to get out of this one. And the judge gave this animal bond. And the judge did this despite the father of that child being at the arraignment and demanding a higher bail. The father of the child was in the courtroom, pointing out his son's attacker and saying that this guy's a danger to the community, obviously, and that the bail was too low. But the judge totally ignored all that, ignored the father and even the prosecutor, because I'm sure the judge is fair and unbiased and just going by the law, right? Now keep in mind the prosecutors were demanding that the bond be set at $1 million. He shouldn't have gotten bond at all. He attacked a child. The judge decided to go ahead and cut this criminal a break. These are the exact same white authorities who constantly tell everyone that they care so much about the children. Oh, if you harm a child, that ought to be a capital offense. Oh, we're so outraged. You got to protect the kids. Yeah, just not the black ones. And of course, the white media is doing the most to hide this assailant's face. His mugshot is apparently a state secret, and details about this creep are non-existent. About the only image of this guy that's actually come to light has been a grainy image from his arraignment. Nobody's saying what this guy's online presence is either. What are his connections to white supremacist organizations? What are his ties, if any, to the police? Well, we all know why the reason this is being kept under wraps. It is precisely individuals like this who are the irregular forces of white supremacy, the non-uniformed attack dogs that the police allow to remain on the loose to carry out the crimes they feel like they can't do directly. And like all these cowards, they're looking for soft targets. They've been getting their butts whipped messing with black men, and black women have begun being more careful, so they're harder targets now. So these animals are now stalking black children, waiting in ambush for sixth graders, kids who are just out of elementary school. This is how desperate these white supremacists are to attack a black person without threat of getting their butts royally kicked or catching the business end of something more severe. We'll continue with the moment of truth in just a moment, but first, a word from the official sponsor of Black Empowerment, Power Tools. There's no telling when something's going to come up, so make sure you carry your power tools at all times. You never know when you're going to need to bring the hammer down, or when you'll have some trash that needs to be blown away, or some obstacle that requires cutting down. Don't get caught empty-handed. Keep your hammer close by. Keep that leaf blower at the ready, and always carry your steel. Power Tools, because no matter what your day job or side hustle may be, there's no excuse for not being ready to put in some work. Understand that this kind of violence against black children has always been a regular part of American society. From the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing to Emmett Till to the Scottsboro Boys to the black girl who was beaten bloody last year by a white classmate at Shawnee Mission East High School, you name it, the list goes on. And we all know that it's absolutely no coincidence that this happened at a school function. Recently, there was that incident where a white man attacked a black principal at a high school graduation because he didn't want a black person to touch his white child. The white right, led by racists like Christopher Rufo, have encouraged white people to go to school boards and threaten school officials with violence under the feeble, phony guise that they're defending white children from being disrespected. And what's the disrespect taking the form of? Learning basic American history. So there's a lot of racists out there who have been feeling like many arenas of the society are backing them up in their anti-black violence. The confluence of schools is a place that doesn't kiss white power's behinds and hence justifying white racists attacking black people. That's obviously what's going on here, and that's the point. They understand that children are the ultimate soft targets, and the Christopher Rufos of the world's goal is to promote open violence against black children because he and the wealthy white supremacists who fund him have been eager to kick off some sort of genocide against the black population. And all of their lies and propaganda is meant to condition these racists to feel emboldened to do precisely that. But Rufo's not alone. When you look at how the authorities are referring to this guy, it becomes very clear this is a group effort. Expect him to pull a George Zimmerman defense and do like all the other anti-black reprobates and claim that he has black friends, that this isn't who he is, etc. When it comes to black children, the threats are real and constant and growing. The need for an anti-black hate crime law has never been greater, but opposition to it has also never been greater, not just from established white power, but also from these Negro bootlick puppets. Being able to openly attack black people is a crucial part of maintaining white supremacy because in order to oppress a group of people for the long term, you have to prevent them from taking you on directly, and that means you must use violence. There's no other way. And the violence of a necessity has to be egregious. It has to be blatant. Of course the police refuse to respond to this violence. Of course the prosecutors give lowball charges on the few occasions when they bother to charge someone at all. And of course the judges give these assailants bail, or if they're found guilty, give them a slap on the wrist. This is white power letting you know this is the status quo, and that they're enforcing it. It's supposed to be an outrage, because otherwise you wouldn't be fully aware that you're oppressed. See, when people don't know that they're oppressed, they tend to act free. They tend to talk back to their oppressors, stand up to them. Why do you think this racist who attacked that child said, "Are you going to talk to a white man like that?" Yeah, he understands the rules of racism. You gotta try to intimidate black people early, especially black children. This child said absolutely nothing to this creep. This animal was on the other side of the street, crosses over just so he can make a beeline to attack a black child. The white supremacists are fully aware that the beginning of resistance to anti-black oppression begins with talking back to massa. That's what was front of mind for that degenerate. The white supremacists know that if that kind of thing isn't checked, then the oppressed will inevitably go from talking back to fighting back. The answer to an anti-black racist is a black person empowered, ready, and willing to stop them. In every single case where black people have pulled up on some anti-black racist, the racists were sent running for the hills. Get tough on the bastards and they'll get the message, as will these police and prosecutors who sympathize with and protect these bigots. All schools are declared to be gun-free zones. Well, with the racists targeting black children, we must establish white supremacist-free zones. and make it our business to ensure that these zones are strictly enforced. And that's this week's Friday Crime Report. Keep your eyes open and stay on alert, because there's a lot worse criminals out there than the ones the white corporate media chooses to show you. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Wally Bilal, Darren Nooks, Tamaro Boyd, Javier, and Seven Samione Ham. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.